should be recording.
Okay.
Yeah. So far in the previous meetings, we have discussed about how to download ABCD data for behavioral scores and in order to get a tabular data. But I was struggling with how to download the raw data for resting state or structural data. So basically that needs you to have authentication and some credentials, which you need to have codes for. So I'll be running through. The major purpose of this meeting is to go over that. So this is one website which you can go to in order to have a brief understanding of what steps to follow in order to download the data. But the thing is, they have done updated the tutorials, but the videos have not been updated. So the videos are from 2017, so those are like pretty old, and so a lot of things do not work. But still, to get a brief idea when you're like pretty new to ABCD, you can use this, and there's a link that I've mentioned. So this document is open access, so anyone who has the link basically can use this one. Okay, yeah, so starting with, if in case you want to have access to ABCD data, you need to have an account with RAS or login.gov. And so this is the basic step of login, and then yeah, the next one. Close. Yeah, so if in case one wants to search for the data, there are multiple categories based on which you can look for data. It can be based on what lab you're interested in or what demographics, what gender, age, based on if in case there's a paper that you want to look at their data, you can search based on that. So you have two sections here. Either you can download the tabulated data and raw behavioral data or raw imaging data. And so for this, you'll have data at different stages. One is tabular, then there's minimally processed, and then the last one is where you have all the analysis done and you have the correlation matrices. So if in case you feel that whatever minimal processing that they have done will work with your study, then you can just go ahead and download the correlation matrices. And so here, what majorly I go for is choosing the data based on the data structure, which is on the left corner. So could you next one? Thank you. Further, yeah. So in this, so you have different categories based on which you can select. So a source will tell you if in case you want NDA data or ABCD data. And then in the search, for example, I'm working with anxiety. So I put in the scores that I'm interested in. So I would put up CBCL, and then it would list up all the studies and all the reports which are there. So like you have 4,000 results for the CBCL. And could you go to the next one?
So like if you click ABCD release 2 and put CBCL, it'll tell you how many
Yeah,
there are. Okay.
yes, for CBCL. Yeah.
Why are there 4,000?
Yeah, here in the source, I did not select anything, so it's just showing me all this data that's there for
All of
CBCL.
okay.
Yeah, so it has parent scores, child report scores. So the thing with ABCD is that you can report everything separately, but then you have to merge all the data. So you have raw data, then you have the T scores for it. So everything is pretty separated. So at the end, like I'll also mention about merging it. Then you have the category section. If in case you're interested in ADHD or autism, you can select based on that, that I want to look at anxiety scores, but in ADHD. So is there a study which reports this together? Then could you scroll ahead? Yeah. And then
could I interject with a question really quickly?
Yeah.
I might be jumping the gun a little bit, but you said that you were using raw or potentially minimally pre-processed data for some resting state stuff. And I'm just curious what if you're going to be talking about your pipeline for that, because even if you are, say, only working with one study site or using some of these filter options, you're kind of ballooning your footprint pretty big, and like I can't imagine that much of it will fit on Hoffman for like a standard operating lab here at UCLA.
Yeah, I can talk about that actually, because it's what we're struggling with right now. So I think almost no one will want to use the raw imaging data for exactly the reason that you described. So the minimally preprocessed data is what most people will want to use. The only reason Priyanka is looking at raw data is because there's a set of preprocessing steps that we want to do that is different from what's the minimal preprocessing for this particular study. But we're not going to be able to do it on all of the 11,000 data sets, right? Just because the same reason you just mentioned. So like for this, we'll probably have to pick a few thousand that we want and using some criteria, that works for us. But I think in general, almost nobody is going to want to download the raw data because it's too big. And yeah, like
so for your use case, you're still kind of working on a more local download as opposed to like using their cloud-based service.
So have you guys tried the cloud-based services?
So I have tried downloading 10 subjects, but on my own laptop, just to figure out how the codes work and what kind of other data do they provide when you're downloading the raw data. But so far I've been working with just the tabular correlation data. But yeah, whatever 1,000 subjects that we'll be picking up for. So for example, I'm interested in anxiety, and someone else might be interested in depression. So the thing is, for all these subjects, you will have mostly the subjects will have all these scores. So it's not that we'll all have to download different sets of data. We can check if in case these subjects have the data of your interest and align with the behavioral scores that you're interested in.
But yeah, I mean, in general, if the question is like, how are we going to manage this on Hoffman? I mean, we've talked a lot about this, and I think like most people will not want the raw data, right? Or do you guys want the raw data too, Leslie? No.
So this has been something that I've been meaning to begin working through for months, but have been waiting on INDA's renewal approval to begin playing around with it. But we will be using the minimally preprocessed data. And it seems like the only, I guess, like workable solution for that is to use the AWS cloud-based services that the consortium provides, and like setting up a virtual compute environment like within their service. And so my ears kind of perked up when I heard that you all were potentially using raw data, and I was just curious like how you were achieving that. But yeah, I hopefully maybe in the next handful of months at one of these meetings, I can provide some kind of update on that, but it's a journey not yet begun, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was hoping someone in the group would start looking at the Amazon cloud service option, because I haven't played with that either, but I know that's what NIH is hoping people will do, because that way you don't have to download anything locally. But I don't know anyone in this group yet who has worked a lot with that. Or maybe we talked, did we talk about it last year? I'm trying to.
I think Sarah, or
yes. Wait, but she downloaded the tabulated data, so I think she wasn't even messing with the cloud either. And she just did it locally because she downloaded like derived variables. So I don't think she actually worked with the raw data either. But maybe, are you on here, Tiffany? Thought I saw you.
Yeah, I popped in late, sorry, but I've only worked with the derived data. So I was hoping to join in and see what are folks doing. And I would like to learn more about AWS. I mean, I think it's pretty complicated.
Yeah, that's sort of why we developed this working group here, is to get ideas from each other, like who's doing what with ABCD, because it's a horribly complicated study to begin with, but then when it comes down to downloading and working with specific pieces of data, it's even more, complicated. So like for our purposes, because we really want to start from the raw data and do our own pre-processing, we decided, okay, we're just going to do it on a small subset, not the entire ABCD data set. So we're going to like decide which I don't know, 1,000 or so participants. Have you talked to Hoki? She's working on.
Yeah.
Okay, so Hoki is trying to work, and I don't know if Hoki if Hoki has talked yet with Tiffany, but we were gonna, like, for example, look at, I don't know, a few thousand subjects and their anxiety scores and relate it to some brain measure that we derive from the raw data, but there's no way we could do it on all 11,000 subjects. So we just have to find a good way to pick which 1,000 subjects we want to do it on.
But I think if we use this cloud-based workflow, then you would be able to do that because you don't want space limitations on Hoffman to be, or compute limitations to be the reason why you're constraining yourself to only 1,000 or so participants when you have such this really rich data set that you really should be taking advantage of.
Yeah, I agree. No one I know has figured out the cloud stuff yet, so hopefully we
Do you
can.
need to pay for like compute time on the AWS?
I think you get
Sure.
some free credits, and then I don't know if Tiffany, if you've looked into this, but I believe you get some from NIH, and then maybe you have to pay.
Yeah. That was my understanding, but of course I could be naive. Like, why would NIH pay for all of it, right?
Well,
And
they do want us to use it, so I know they're like supporting it, and they, give you some free usage, but I don't know if it's enough for your needs, because I don't know if anyone's actually tested it to see like, oh, will this support what I'm trying to do? So the question is.
From my understanding, especially if you're a student, you might be able to get even more credits compared to say like a faculty member, but I'm unsure. And something that I was hoping to kind of ease out is like how we might link our accounts or something like that, or have like a shared lab like virtual environment like within that workflow for things like standard like the same FSL setup and same different kinds of packages that we might all use for similar projects within the lab. And I don't know how that works, and if you can have like lab shared resources in order to be able to do computing on their service. So I don't know like what the actual like breakdown or schema is. You do get some free and maybe a little bit more free if you're like a trainee or something like that, but I don't know how that like ties into if you want a shared lab space.
Yeah.
these are good things to look into. I mean, I feel like it's pretty much guaranteed whatever free credits they offer, it will not be enough. And I think in the past, when I've looked at AWS, when I was at Stanford, so, not within the context of trying to analyze ABCD data, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
It's essentially, you're paying, it scales with the amount of time in which you're using their compute power. So
Yeah, the reason we didn't end up using it for my other studies, this is also when I was at Stanford, the same reason we didn't use it. Well, it was both for that and because you have to pay for things like MATLAB licenses if you want to use MATLAB.
yeah.
So like the software thing is not as easy to deal with. I mean, maybe there's other programming languages, of course, but like if a lot of the code you want to use is in MATLAB, then you have to have a MATLAB license and then you have to pay for that. So anyway, I mean, I hope that someone in this group will report back once they found out about it. But yeah, for now, we're kind of like figuring out, like, if you want to use the derived data, that's easy, because you just download it and it's tabular, right? If you want to use minimally preprocessed data, that's relatively easy. But yeah, there's nothing is super easy, I suppose.
Yeah.
No pain, no gain.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, till here we talked about picking up a behavioral score. So I'm talking more with relevance to what I've done. So till here, I looked up for CL scores, anxiety scores, based on these different categories that I explained so far. And so, as I mentioned before, you'll have everything in different formats. You'll have a parent reported, then you'll have behavioral scores. You might also have T-scores and raw scores. That is what I wanted to show in this one. So after I select what I wanted from the CBCL results, I add that to the workspace that you see on the right corner over here, bottom. So I add that to the workspace. And after that, what I do is I want to look at, okay, what subjects have the resting state data that I'm interested in. So again, like the text search, I would just enter that and keep scrolling down till the time I find what I really need. And so so for my study, I wanted a resting state temporal variance data from ABCD. So I then added both of these into the workspace. And then what I do is in the right corner, what you see is submit to the filter card. So you just add that to the filter card, and that will tell you how many subjects basically you have. So in the right top corner, you'll see how so I've applied the filter. So these many are the subjects which have the anxiety scores and the fMRI scores of my interest. And so after that, what I do is I create a data package. Yeah, the next one. Yeah, so here what happens is the right corner shows that, okay, from ABCD, from NIMH, NDA, there are different packages, different data sets which have your data of interest. So you can select based on what permission do you have. So for us, we have ABCD, so I just selected that. And on the right corner, it's just showing me that how many subjects have CBCL scores and how many of those, like you'll see 11,800 or so have the anxiety scores, but out of that only 11,600 have the fMRI scores. So basically you can select whatever filters that you have picked up there, and then you create a data package. In this, you want to put a name of the package that you want, and you want to select the associated files. So these are the ones which are going to have your raw data. And the associated documents for it. So then you create the data package.
Did you find, like, is there some limit to how many things you can select if you select like more than 5 different things, or it'll give you everything you select?
Yeah, just everything that is there in the data set, it'll give you all of that.
So
There's
like
no
here,
limit
you
to
just
it.
had, ABCD, CBCL, and RSFMRI, but if you check a lot of different things, it will give you all of those different things.
Yeah. And it'll also tell you that, okay, for whatever data set you are looking for, we do not have the depression score. So it'll show that 0 out of so many subjects
Here's,
do
it
not
says like
have it.
11,614
out of 11,600.
available.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that way you'll get to know that whatever filters that you were interested in, there are certain things which are not available for certain subjects. So you'll be aware of that. And then what you do is after you have created the data package, then yeah, scroll a bit more down. Yeah. So here you'll see that, okay, the data, so I created that one and now it's populating tables, but then when it's ready to download, you will see you can create certain MI NDARs. Basically what that does is there's Oracle database, which AWS uses to store data. And so MI is like a cloud-based Oracle database. So it will be just creating a duplicate of what's in there, but on the MI NDR. And so for that, you'll be creating a password, or it will be emailed to you if in case you do not create any password. Yeah, let me scroll. Thank you. Yeah, so this is just the step for creating MINDR. If in case you don't want to select a password, you'll get an email that for this data set number, this is the password created automatically. Yeah, so after you have created a package, there are 2 ways where you can get the links to download the data. So one is NDA, a download manager, and other one is Oracle, a database. So initially what I went ahead with was the NDA download manager, which is like pretty easy. So these are on the left corners are whatever titled databases that I had and the package IDs. And so for temporal variance data, I came across, okay, it has the CBCO scores and it has certain links. So you can either download the entire package or just select one and then download that. So felt like, okay, NDA download manager is pretty user friendly. And so you can just go ahead and download things from that. But it has certain limitations. So I had to move to Oracle database. So since this one was a pretty small package that I created, it had everything tabulated. So it opened up pretty well. Could you like scroll down? So you'll have to download NDA download manager separately and then log into that and then you can look at that. So the drawback of NDA download manager is if in case there are a lot of pre-processed MRI data that I wanted to download. So when I created a package for that, it would like take lifetime to open that up. Seems like it. So instead of that, I decided directly to go to the Oracle database. So for that, you'll have to download the SQL developer. So yeah, NDA download manager does not really help with that. So this is one example of the tabulated data that I had. So in NDA, usually what I do is I do not select the associated files when I'm creating the MINDAR. So in that case, I'll just have the tabulated information of where can I find the link or what's the link to download the pre-processed data or the raw data. So NDA makes it easier for me to have data in form of Excel sheet, and then I can move ahead with Oracle. I can do back and forth, but if in case you prefer something else. So in this Excel sheet, what you'll be able to see is that there are subject IDs, and then you have age and sex over here of the subjects, and then you have the file source. So these are the S3 links where your particular file of interest is located. So you want to use these links to download the data that you'll be interested in. In the same Excel sheet, when we go ahead, like if you scroll it to that side, it does not go because I kind of like did a crop over there. But you'll also be able to see what steps did they select for minimal pre-processing. So that kind of gives you an idea of what are the steps that you're interested in, if in case that fits in with your study of interest. And there's a paper as well in which they have in detail mentioned about these steps and what softwares did they use.
So like, where do I go to? You just go to the web and download it?
Yeah, so for that, basically they had like a set of Python codes where you have to put in your username and password and then put in the link and then it downloads it. But then they had this restriction, they need authentications now. So basically they will create a token or credentials, after which now it's verified with NDA, I guess, or a website, and then you are able to download it. So it's like more security that they have created. So it's
Comes in one of those.
what?
If you download one of those things.
Yeah, so we got NII files from that. So resting state.nii.gz files. So we get that when we try to download it from the links.
Just the rest.
Yeah, if in case like someone's interested in a task or if in case in structural data, they'll have the same format sort of. But I could not come across, what do you say, the decom format. It's just basically a .nii file that I came across.
Oh,
for
you don't
Browse.
need the DICOM. Yeah.
For the raw, you said.
Yeah. Okay, no, you never need the DICOMs. I mean.
Yeah, for structural, they have more formats, but for resting state, it's just majorly .nii, like a short file.
Mhm.
Yeah, could be like.
So yeah, the nifty raw data is the most raw.
Yeah.
And you found that for downloading data, that it's easier to sometimes do this and script it using these paths instead of just using that download manager.
Yeah, so since download manager, when you create a package which is like pretty huge and has all the associated files. So for example, here I did not really take care of how many subjects am I putting it into a package. So it was like 11,000 with associated files for the raw data. So obviously it was like pretty heavy for that one to open up in the first place. So basically NDA manager uses the Oracle database. So it's a lot easier for us to open that up.
Do you have to paste them in the browser or is it a batch?
It's like for each subject, it's separate.
Is there a script to batches or are you gonna paste them one by one?
There's one for batch, which is there if in case one wants to do like one subject at a time, they can do that as well.
Okay.
No, can you do the whole thing at once?
Yeah, so I can put up all the S3 links for all the subjects that I'm interested in, and then it will download all the subjects together.
And then for like each of the different measures, will it like coordinate based on the subject ID? So you don't have to do that yourself? Is that kind of what you're getting to? Because I think Sarah mentioned she had
Yeah.
to like combine all the separate files.
Yeah, so there's the code that they provided as well and Sarah created for her own study. So basically, they did not provide a data for handedness or IQ. So you have to download those separately in the previous step that we talked about. You add those to the workspace and then you get all the files separately and then you have to merge it all together based on the subject IDs. So this is one example of the Oracle database. So here what you have is this is the fMRI result file, which is similar to the Excel sheet that we were looking at before. And then there's another file they create, which is specially for the S3 links. So you'll have all the S3 links in one file. Could you scroll it? Thank you. Yeah, so this file is for the S3 links. And so you want to take care of whatever you're downloading. Is it from the baseline or a second, like other follow-ups? So here I was just looking at the baseline. So based on that, you'll have to select a few. And you can download these Excel sheets as well, rather than just having to work with this. Since I'm more of a GUI person, I would like download these and like select those using Excel sheet. Yeah. So
What is the
once,
S3? What does that mean, S3?
so it's basically an address for where your file is in the AWS. So all of that is like stored on the cloud. So yeah, since I mentioned that, like you'll have to download everything separately. So here's the code, which will merge all the several files together. And in order to download that, you'll have to run a script that they have provided for. So you're going to need Python for this. And then there's pip, which will help you download packages and libraries. And could you like, oh, thank you. And further up. Yeah, and then Hoffman has NDA tools already installed, but if in case you're doing it on your local computer, you want to install NDA tools as well. So NDA tool is going to have all the packages of interest, all the codes of interest that you're going to need for this one. And could you click the last link? Yeah. So basically, using the Excel sheet, I've now made a list of subjects that I'm interested in. And so I have all the S3 links that I'm interested in. So then I use this code basically, where the first step is to create credentials. This is like a security step. You add your password and your username for ABCD, and then it will create a token for credentials. It's just extra security step, which was not there before. And so basically the thing is, initially when I was trying to download things, I never had to do this step. So it would like give, if in case you want to download 1-2 files, you don't need this. But when you want to download, for example, 10 or 15 files, it takes more time. So that it keeps logging me out from the system. So this is why you want to have the credentials in the first place. So I've used their script, but created one for the ones who are like newbies to Python and have difficulty in understanding why do you need to import things and load things up every now and then. So it's just for extra help. And could you scroll up? So yeah, the next step would be to retrieve the file. So now that I have the S3 links, yeah, just a bit up. I mean, like, yeah, just here. So either you have like a CSV or Excel file which has all the C3 links. So basically you create CSV file, and then it will download all the data from the S3 links. Or like the last step, run this code to paste S3 links. So if in case there are certain few subjects that you want to just download for your own test, so you can either just directly paste that S3 link over here and then it will download that. So the last step would be to download these files, basically. So yeah. Once it all has been downloaded, it will tell you that it has finished downloading. You can mention about where do you want to download it. So basically, this is the script that you want to have if in case you want to download the minimally pre-processed or the raw data you're interested in. If in case you just want Excel sheet, then you can just go to NDA to download manager and just download the Excel sheets from there. By creating a smaller package without the associated files or from the Oracle database. But in case you want to download more files, then you can use this script as well. So yeah, that's all I had.
Great.
Yeah. So if
Yeah,
in
was it
case-
shared with us?
I don't know, did I send it in the email? Maybe not. Please do it.
So anyone who has this link, basically like I've changed, what do you say, the permission. So anyone can comment on this and suggest corrections. I could add that to GitHub, but I feel I don't have the confidence so far to add it up there. But yes, it's open to use and comment.
Thank you.
Did you download the subjects data?
Yeah, I did,
Can
10
you look it up on
subjects. I'll have to see if in case I have it with me. What I can do is like, I can add like sample subjects data, like 2-3 subjects data on the Google Drive. So people have some idea of like what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, just one. I don't know if you did 3.
Yeah, I downloaded like 10 subjects data. I'll just have to look at it, like, where is it now?
Yeah.
So I just finished sending off an email to Monica Rosenberg, who's at the University of Chicago. I worked with her there while I was getting my master's, and she has a unique and sort of privileged situation, actually. So she managed to convince the University of Chicago to bankroll storing locally on their compute cluster all of the raw data. And so her story isn't going to be applicable to ours, but she's very well sort of ingrained in a lot of the inner machinations of ABCD stuff. And so I asked her if she had any suggestions for resources or people to reach out to talk and ask questions about the AWS stuff. And if that has any leads, Lucina, I might like follow up and say, maybe we have, X person, talk to us over Zoom or something like that. Or if I find any cool links, I'll be sure to share in our Slack conversation.
That would be really helpful. Yeah, thanks for doing that. The other thing Claire sent me now I know my ABCD tutorial, so maybe we can watch that. Because I know we talked about that before. Hold on. Yeah, here it is. So yeah, there's a bunch of sort of tools that people are creating now to help, everyone find their way through these data sets. And this is one of them. So yeah, there was the ABCD repronym, and kind of some of the people from that group created this. Now I know my ABCD. So maybe I can share this with us too for today. I'm gonna put this in the chat, but I think we have a few minutes just to watch it because it's
I found the NII files in case like y'all want to see what. it
okay.
looks like.
Can you share your screen? Oh, you have to log in.
Yeah, I'll just try to do that.
Yeah, there's so many kind of tricks to this. So, yeah, I don't know. How did she get her university to, it's a lot of data. That's good that they're able to support it.
It was a confluence of starter funds collaboration across like 3 labs that were helping fund it. And then also, so instead of Hoffman, it's called Midway there. And their sort of computing team took it on as also a pet project for them to like basically pad their resume with like, look at this massive undertaking that we have accomplished. And so like, it was also a sort of like way that they could use money that they have as like the computing environment to like show their capabilities and like host something so big.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I could look into, there's probably some local funds I could apply for if we want to try to do this on Hoffman. It's just a matter of scale. We can certainly do it on Hoffman, we just have to pay for it, you know, so. Hopefully you should be able to share your screen.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. Yeah, so here's the minimally pre-processed files that I tried to download. So basically I have those in EGZs and okay, we don't want to do that. We already have one. Yeah, so here it's just a description of the file that in what order did the acquisition and other information about the data set. And so here's the baseline one and the functional information. So this is the format in which they provide you. So you have your motion information in all the directions basically. And yeah, these this one is more about the description and the .nii file that we have. Sorry, is it not? Okay, it seems like the system's lagging. Okay, it shows up something else on my screen, but it's not opening up there. Seems like it's maybe lagging or something. Okay, sorry, yeah. There, patience. Okay, cool. So this is the motion file, which will show motions in other directions. And then going back to this one.
What is this, minimally pre-processed?
Yeah, this is minimally pre-processed.
So what does that mean? It's been motion corrected.
Yeah, it's been motion corrected and all the steps like realignment and most of the steps are there, but there were like a few which had restriction for the ICA fix. As we discussed before, I could like bring that up again, but for our study, like we were discussing that we need few more steps to be done just for the use of our kind of study, and it's not showing. It's lagging pretty bad.
So are you guys gonna chart these spiking first? Is that why you're taking them off or like?
Yeah, I guess we can't. Did it, so.
Okay, it seems like my system's lagging, but we have the NII file, which you can see here, but it's, I don't know why it's not going up there.
Can you just get the overall size for one of the, for the whole something?
Yeah, so for one NII file, it's
For the whole subject?
for the whole subject.
You just go to the subject folder and go like.
Yeah. Okay, so it seems like it's 600 MB.
See,
Yeah,
That
so
just, what does that include? That's only one imaging.
250. I thought that's all they were saying.
No,
So go back.
she only selected the resting state, so it would only be.
Oh, you went to the, where's the overall folder? Like the subject?
okay, yeah, that one's lagging, but here's the overall. So like one folder would show the size of 600 MB.
One folder is one subject?
Yeah,
What does it have from one subject?
Yeah.
What
it
did-
has motion, it has NII file in it, and
Just those
Just
three
for the
files.
resting state?
yeah. And
Just
that's
those
just
three
the
files.
functional data.
It's not the task, it's just rest.
Yes,
So it's not structural, it's not anything.
So it's just one rest file.
yes, and not even anatomical like the T1. So it seems like T1 needs to be downloaded separately. And this
Yeah,
is
it's
the-
just one imaging
And they
file.
have 4 REST files.
They should have.
Yeah,
four.
so they have like different runs as well. So previously we were thinking which run to select, given like which one has less motion in it based on that. So yeah,
Over a gigabyte or something.
when we calculated based on Hoffman space, we ended up understanding that 1,000 seems like doable.
If 100's, one subject is a gigabyte. What is a terabyte, 1,000? Gigabytes? Oh, okay, we should be fine. That was all
For 1,000 or so subjects.
1,000.
Yeah. But only resting,
subjects, 1 terabyte. Couple terabytes.
yeah,
Oh, so they're like 7, 8 terabytes.
yeah. Well, that's why, I mean, hopefully not too many people want the raw data. Because, yeah. Well, even the minimally preprocessed is big, the raw is even more probably. Well. Or similar. at least.
Okay. So about 500 gigabytes. No. Half a gigabyte. Per resting state, but that is. 500 gigabytes. These subjects about 2 terabytes. Wow, okay.
Yeah. And since like, yeah, these steps have a normalization and segmentation done to these files already, it seems like we could like skip T1 files for these subjects. But yeah,
T1s are tiny.
yeah, but I haven't looked at the size of those files, but if in case like we need it, I could look into that.
Yeah, T1s are usually tiny because they're just a 3D image.
Mhm. Yeah, so.
Okay, well, thanks for putting together that tutorial. It's definitely
Oh,
helpful.
can you open them? Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Was
Yeah,
it-
by myself. Never mind. Just wanted to see what it looks like. That's all right. Look at it later.
Okay.
So we, just for the people who are here, new, in our last, or our first couple of meetings, we kind of brainstormed, you know, what we wanted to do in this work group, and we talked about, you know, we've done some of these tutorials. We want to talk about, you know, stages, raw, minimal, pre-processed, the kind of stuff we talked about today, the educational courses, you know, creating a wiki for us to all work on together. ABCD measures, raw data on Hoffman. We've talked about this.
Oh,
Yeah,
Damien Fair said he's gonna let us use his bathroom.
survey. But something, he has some data release we have to look at. I don't remember what that was. We discussed it last time. And then, yeah, this is the ABCD repro name. Dylan talked a little bit about using the data analysis portal. So yeah, I think basically we've just been going through a lot of these videos together because that's where kind of the most of the, I don't know, if you're just starting with ABCD, then this is like the best place to go. Because it talks about all the different variables and stuff like that. I think one of them was about the data analysis portal, which we started looking at. One with Wes, yeah. Data, this one, we started watching this video together about data access and data analysis portal and all these things. So we can go back to doing some of this together. But yeah, I guess what else would be useful for this particular group? We're kind of jumping around a little bit, just trying to figure out all of these things.
So like previously, back in the institute, like we had a person from MATLAB itself to explain more about data usage and like how to analyze it.
Mhm.
So given that you have access to, like you're a member in ABCD, so could you like ask them if in case someone has used the cloud
Mhm.
for analysis? So like we can get them to talk more about it.
Yeah, so basically it's the cloud computing options that we want a little bit more guidance on, right? Like what are the options basically? How does it work or what are the limitations?
How much do they cost?
Yeah. how much-
Chanting badges are just.
I mean, they're giving everyone credits.
Really?
Yeah, they are, like, everyone should be able to get credits. It's a question of, is it enough to do, you know?
I just remember how much they charge stuff like that.
Yeah, but no, it's supposed to be like free. You know, some of it is supposed to be free. That was the idea. Question is, you know, is it sufficient for the purposes of whatever study you want to do? And that I have no idea. So I try to find out about the Amazon services. So yeah, I can try to find someone who's had some experience with it and just like that. Yeah, other things you guys would want to do together. Yeah,
Something I think, I guess selfishly, something that I'm dealing with currently is thinking a little bit about some of the task imaging data, so the functional MRI stuff. And so looking in the kind of release notes and stuff, there's like these little breadcrumbs of where certain tasks go wrong, right? Like we realized that the first trial was like always saying that they responded with a 1 or, you know, whatever. And then like there will be these iterative fixes across time. And so like maybe talking about best practices and workflow for like reading and like finding out how best to describe in your methods what participants were actually doing, but also sort of like how to appropriately account for some of those like issues or glitches or whatever the case might be that they describe in some of those release notes, like how to go about making sure that you're not flubbing your analysis because you didn't realize you should get rid of trial 1.
Yeah, so the release notes are very important for that, as Leslie mentioned, because they talk about like issues and problems and things that people noted. There's also like a whole bunch of papers that have been published. It's kind of hard sometimes to find them, but like, for example, the stop signal test, there's like about 10 papers that go back and forth between like Russ Poldrack and Hugh Garavan talking about like, what's wrong with the task? No, it's fine. You know, so if you weren't
That's
interested,
literally the task that I'm
Yeah,
trying to handle.
it's like a serious problem because like some people think it's fine and other people have big critiques about it. So that's just like how science works, right? Like, you know, people don't agree on whether a task is measuring what you think it's measuring. But I think the bigger problem is like how hard it is to sometimes locate these papers, right? Like I know of the stop signal ones because I put stop signal in a grant and then I had to go down the rabbit hole of like figuring out, oh, this is actually a terrible test. And but I don't know about the other tasks in the, you know, if there's been a lot of controversy about any of the other tasks that are out there, or that's the major one.
I think people hate the monetary incentive delay task because I'm pretty sure it's very short anyways, but yeah, people have opinions.
Yeah, people will always have opinions. But yeah, so we can do that. I mean, I don't know if Wesley, I mean, you also, if you have like, if you want to share anything about like your experience with stop signal in one of our work groups, just to like talk us through what you've learned, that's a possibility too. This isn't a structured work group. It really is just like a taking on problems as they come work group. So, and Tiffany has worked with ABCD, so maybe we could force her to give a presentation on like a recent paper, just because it just helps to see like how different people have dealt with the issues as they come up, you know. So I think I'm trying to remember, what do I have? What did I say our next meeting would be? Let's see. What did I say? ABCD data analysis work group meetings for winter. So I think I said our next one would be Wednesday, March 8th. So yeah, is anyone offering to lead a discussion on March 8th? Or to like come up with a topic, or because if not, we're basically using these meetings to like watch some of the repronym training videos together when we don't have like presenters, but yeah. if any of you do have something you'd want to like present on or just talk through, like not like slides or anything, but just talk through like your experience with particular analyses, that would be great. I'll also try to find out more about the cloud stuff, if I can find a speaker on that. Let's see if I can.
Could we like also talk about the steps minimally pre-processed data has, so people can get more idea about whether to go for raw or the minimally pre-processed.
Yeah, I think everyone will go for the minimally pre-processed. I
Yeah.
mean, just because it's too much. In ABCD, we expect almost no one will use the raw data. So, I mean, that's sort of the way it was set up. It's only, yeah. Mhm.
And I'm not sure if you kind of went over this in a previous meeting, but what did I come across that's always a little confusing is just like all the different behavioral data options that like child,
Right.
adult, and like someone who's kind of knowledgeable about, I guess, the options with the data, like
Yeah.
what type of, what all like a easy overview of like,
Yeah,
how
we
you have an idea.
Yeah, for that, we can watch one of the videos because they have like, here's a video that tells you about all the substance use variables. Here's one for all the mental health. Here's one. So we can watch that, those we can watch together and, that's definitely something we can do. So yeah, well, if anyone comes up and feels inspired, we can, inspired to talk about their own data next time, we can do that. If not, we'll just go back to watching one of the videos that like describes the data set. We're sort of like going back and forth between what is the data? How do we get to the data? What kind of analyses can we do on the data? But this is there's, like I said, it's work group for you guys, so feel free to jump in with what you think would be most useful. But thanks, everyone. We will try to keep at it. We'll try to keep beating down this data set until it gives us what we want. So,
Make sure.
yeah. Yeah. All right. Thanks for joining on Zoom.
Yeah, thank you
Bye,
for
Lucina.
organizing this. This is super helpful.
Good. I hope we can talk you into presenting at some point.
Yes, I want to attend the next meeting, but I have a visit from NIH for my study, so we can't. But I was hoping to find out more information about AWS.
Yeah, okay, so I'll try to get a speaker or at least some resources on it. And
Okay.
we'll record these meetings for people who can't make them.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Thank you. But I'll also try to find out more information and share what I can before the next meeting date.
Thanks, appreciate it.
All right, take care.
See you later.
Bye.
Yeah, I'll let you know if Monica replies as well, Lucina.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, I had Monica present in our class last year. She did a great presentation on intersubject correlation. Maybe I can convince her to present to this group, or maybe you can.
Actually, yeah, that would be easiest to have her just present directly rather than having you, Wesley, be like the mediator, like going back and forth and asking.
You want to talk
Yeah.
her into it?
Just invite her directly and see if she's available.
Great speaker, so that would be helpful. if
Yeah,
she would.
she's presenter goals. But yeah, I'll see what she says, especially because I asked her if she knew of anybody like particularly knowledgeable about AWS stuff, because I just don't think that she really interacts with it too much. But
I see. Yeah.
But in that conversation, I'll float the idea of maybe her giving a presentation on like using the data, because a lot of her projects have spanned multiple applications of like different subsets of the behavioral and neuroimaging data. So yeah.
That'd be helpful, thanks.
Yeah,
We're just
thank
pulling
you so much.
Yeah, so thanks a lot, guys.
Cool. Thank you. Bye, Lucina. Bye, Tiffany.
Bye.
Nice to meet you in person. Ish.
Nice to meet you. But let's meet in actual person.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.